I'd like to introduce our two very special guests. We have Eva Castillo, who was one of our very first human books, and Suraj Budatoki, who are both here to answer your questions and share their stories. I'd like you to tell our guests a little bit about your stories, and then I hope we will have some questions and hopefully some answers as well. And so I'd like, Eva, if you would like to begin with who you are and the kinds of things that you're doing. These two are both movers and shakers and working in in advocacy. And I might say also award winners. Suraj was a winner of one of New Hampshire's 40 Under 40 several years ago, and last year Ava was awarded the Martin Luther King Award for 2017. So there.
Oh, and the American Award by the Daughters of the American Revolution in 2015.
Oh,
That's
excellent!
my biggest.
I didn't know that.
although I would never be American enough for something.
So I'd love for you to start by sharing your stories and a little bit about your background, and maybe we can take some questions and go from there.
I am Eva Castillo. I'm not a refugee. I come from Caracas, Venezuela. I came here to go to college in 1976. So I have been here most of my life. And ever since I came here, I was lucky to come from a privileged background, and I usually say that, by just crossing a border, I became automatically I went from being a member of the privileged minority to being a member of the unprivileged minority, just by crossing a border. I'm a Hispanic, and in this country, everybody has to fit some type of imaginary box. You put labels, you're gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, woman, transgender, Latino, black, white, whatever, white, non-Hispanic, Indian, So it was really annoying to me, to tell you the truth. And we have to reinvent ourselves, because everything, like I tell my friends, when you move here, you might as well just work for the common good, because nobody could care less about who your daddy was. So you might, and that's what prompted me. Within 2 weeks, I was volunteering at the Latino Center, and I never would, I came to study business. I don't have an ounce of business in my brain. I found my passion by living in this country. I've been put in adverse conditions or somewhat unprivileged, and I'm thankful for that. And 41 years later, I'm still doing the same, and I would not change it for the world.
I think I have a longer story than you.
That's why I said, my story is pretty simple.
So, thank you for inviting me to share my story here. My name is Suraj Budatoki. Some of my Russian friends call me Sergey, but I'm Suraj. I was born and brought up in Bhutan, a very small, some call it the land of happiness, or the last Shangri-La, or there are many names, beautiful, captivating name. But I would not call, because I am a refugee from Bhutan. So at the age of 9, I was forcibly evicted along with my family, with more than 130,000 Bhutanese citizens. Bhutan is a monarchical country. It has king. So in 1990, I was in refugee camp in Nepal, and for 19 years, I was a refugee. 1990, March 5th to 2009, February 24. So I was here in 2009, February 24, in Atlanta, Georgia. In the story, in the movie, there are some facts that I will correct later on, because I advocate for human rights and democracy in Bhutan through International Campaign for Human Rights in Bhutan. We advocate this issue, in the U.S. Congress, asking U.S. Establishing diplomatic relationship with Bhutan, because U.S. does not have any kind of bridge or relationship with Bhutan, and we are asking for that because U.S. foreign policy is totally embedded in human rights and democracy, peace and development. So as I am the refugee from Bhutan, I see there is nothing like peace and democracy or development in Bhutan. So there is total human rights violation going on still.
Why is that?
Yeah, that's a big, very, very good question, and we have been trying to find out answer for the last 30 years. So I would give you a very, brief synopsis. Bhutan is, built of three main ethnic communities. The ruling elites we call king, they are called Ngalong. They migrated to Bhutan from Tibet. Myself, Nepalese, originally from Nepal, settled down in Bhutan in early 17th century, legally settled down by the British government in Bhutan, in southern part of Bhutan. We call, in this language, they call Lotsampa, means people living in southern part of Bhutan. But we are originally from Nepal. So we speak Nepali, we are Hindu by religion, we have different cultures, different dress code, different ethnicity as well. And we have other ethnic community called Sarso. They migrate from northern part of India. So we three, there are other 14 minorities, ethnic communities in Bhutan. But as we three main, major community used to live in Bhutan. But what happened was, there wasn't any kind of Citizenship Act or law before 1958. So Bhutan enacted Citizenship Act in 1958, and that act gave citizenship rights to all the people, whether they came from Tibet, Nepal, or India, or wherever. So that act gave citizenship rights to all the people living in Bhutan. So what happened as Bhutan and India has open border, there is no passport system. Anybody can come in, anybody can go out. So in 1980, government found that through unofficial census that there was rising ethnic Nepalese population or Lotsampa's population in the southern part of Bhutan, and the king felt that if the population keep growing like this in southern part of Bhutan, probably from down the line 10 to 20 years, probably my kingship, my authority will be toppled down, and I may not be king.
Wow, similar to nowadays, something like that.
We can compare this to other countries as well. So government started framing or enacting, derogatory or policies that deny citizenship against the Lotsampa, my population. In 1977, they changed the Citizenship Act of 58. And again in 1985, they changed the Citizenship Act of 1958. Twice they changed and made us, the majority of Lotsampa, Nepali speakers or Hindu believers, non-national or non-Bhutanese or illegal immigrant.
So they stripped the nationality from you, citizenship, they took it away.
They took it away, yeah. So also, Rebecca Phil was talking about one people policy, one people, one nation policy. That was fact. The 1985 Citizenship Act implemented one people, one nation policy, which means Bhutanization. So whatever king believes in religion, his dress, his culture, all the other ethnic minority has to believe, has to endow with. If I'm Hindu, I should convert to Buddhism. If I wear shorts and pants, no, I should wear go and kira, what the king wears. Or whatever is my Nepalese culture, I should stop celebrating. I speak Nepali, I should stop speaking Nepali. Our language, our book in school was banned and Jonka was implemented. So that happened in 1985. So on top of that, they conducted a census in 1989. only in 6 districts of southern part of Bhutan, where Lhotshampa used to live, totally they targeted ethnic Nepalese by the census. So what happened, the census team asked a land tax receipt of 1958. After 30 years, they asked a receipt, a paper of their land that was given to them in 1958. Who could keep that as receipt after 30 years? Nobody had it. And strictly, whoever would produce that receipt would count it as a Bhutanese citizen. Whoever failed to produce, they will be illegal immigrant. So, my one personal story. My grandfather, who was born in Bhutan in 1933, was able to produce land tax receipt. My grandmother did not produce that one. So, my father was family number 1, means genuine Bhutanese, and my mother, illegal Bhutanese. So, in that census, the census divided single family into 7 categories, 1 to 7. 1, genuine Bhutanese, 7, illegal immigrant. So, my grandfather was number 1, genuine Bhutanese. He can stay in Bhutan, but government gave 10 days notice to my grandmother to leave Bhutan. So, we could not do that, right? We all left. So, and in early 1990s, there was a mass protest against this, policy, one people, one nation policy, and others, and census policy. So government, implement martial law. They didn't want to revisit their policy, and our houses were burned, people were arrested, everything had happened. So we left Bhutan forcefully. My 19 years I spent in a refugee camp in Nepal. Now what I do, I am at Norwich University doing my master's in international relations. I will be graduating early next year. So in September next month, I'll be going to Nepal, visiting refugee camp where I spent my 19 years, and do some research on where ethnic Nepalese, on what date, what time they were migrated to Bhutan. Is there any kind of legal documents that was signed by Bhutanese government and Nepalese government while bringing our forefathers in Bhutan? So I was trying to find out the base of our Lhotshampa population or ethnic Nepalese population in Bhutan. So where they went from, all those things. So after graduating, I'm planning, to do something for my community. That means not Bhutanese community, to New Hampshire community, because I was helped for 20 years by this community, by United States. So I'm so indebted with the help that I got, and I would like to do something. So I'm looking for, avenues where I can, use my ability, my skills, my education after graduation. So probably I'll be in New Hampshire sharing my stories like this, or probably I'll be in DC working for a US State Department, or because I already started applying for a job as Foreign Service Officer, probably going to Nepal, India, or somewhere, helping people there, flourishing US foreign policy and all those things. I have few, things to clarify about the movie, if I could. So Rebecca told there was no education in refugee camp. There were up to grade 10. When I was in refugee camp, we had an education level up to class 10 in refugee camp. It was looked by or supported by Caritas Nepal, it's a Jewish organization. And after class 10th, we will be able to go out of refugee camp for education. And our education up to class 10 is validated by Nepal government, and we could go for further education at college with that certificate. So I got opportunity to finish my bachelor's from nearby college in Nepal. And before I was resettled here, I was in Kathmandu doing my master's in English. So there was an education system in refugee camp. Other thing, so one of my friends there, Bhutanese friend, Mr. Baskota, he said he applied for United States. Mm-hmm. I did not know that. How I did was, I was asked to fill a form. They call it declaration form. So just to say, I will be going anywhere,
That's right.
any part of the world. And I just signed it because I just want to get out of the refugee camp. I just signed it. And they called me, did 3 or 4 interviews, and they asked my resume. I gave them my work experience. And in 4th interview, they called me, hey, you'll be in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's what it is. They send them to whatever they feel.
Yeah.
That I was really surprised too, because I have never heard
Yeah.
anybody choosing where to go.
Yeah.
Now, if you have your grandparents, they want to join you, that's a different story. But usually they just send them whatever, or whatever country too. So not even the U.S. or
I think, those are
there's a couple of this.
So were you in the same refugee camp the entire 19 years
I was out of refugee camp for my education.
for your education?
Yes.
But then basically were you in the same camp for this?
Camp, yes.
So, okay,
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, so why is it that I tutor a family in Manchester that are from the Congo, and they have told me many people have to go to different refugee camps. So they went in the Congo in a refugee camp and then had to go to Zambia. So I'm just wondering why people have to go to different camps.
Well, I don't know that, but what I would say is our immediate neighbor is India. We were supposed to be a refugee in India, but we were not allowed to stay there. What India did was, put us in the truck and they dump us in Nepal, because Bhutan and India, they're very close friends. And there is a Indo-Bhutan Friendship Treaty that says if anything wrong that Bhutanese are doing in India would not be tolerated, something like that. And if any Indian is doing anything in Bhutan, that would not be tolerated. And that's why India knew that we are Bhutanese problem for Bhutanese government. So they just want to take Bhutan's problem to Nepal because India knew that we were from Nepal. So that was just trying to brush off their problem, trying to support Bhutan.
Thank you.
There's so many hands. Anyone? Yes, please.
You said Hindu. Are some people from Bhutan Buddhist? The reason I ask is I have a friend who is from Bhutan,
Okay.
and he says he's Buddhist, and I'm not sure what part of Bhutan he's from. He was a shepherd, and a wealthy Austrian gentleman went there and he helped this gentleman climb a mountain, and he was 18 at the time, and this gentleman was so taken with him that he adopted him, and now he lives in Austria. And is Kinley a common name in Bhutan?
Kinley?
Yeah.
Kinley? Yeah.
Yeah, is it from McKinley? What is it?
McKinley?
Yeah.
No, Kinley is common name in Bhutan. Kinley is common name in Bhutan. Dorji is common name in Bhutan. But about religion, what I would like to say is Bhutan is multicultural, multi-religious people. And also multi-ethnicity live in Bhutan. So there are Christians as well.
Yeah.
As of now, a rough data from inside Bhutan reveals that there are more than 20,000 Christians in Bhutan. But as Bhutan itself claim in constitution, it says Bhutanese heritage is upon Buddhist religion. So these Christians, they are not allowed to bury their dead body in Bhutan soil, in Bhutanese soil. So they don't have right to do that. So they go to India to bury their family's dead body. They go to India. So see how Bhutan is doing. Is it really a country that we call land of happiness or youngest democracy? The fact is, gross national happiness. Bhutan is known to the world by this phrase, gross national happiness. Wherever they go, they sell this product.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Right,
Yeah, that's right.
right.
When the king decided to change this law, wasn't there any type of protest from your group that were being marginalized or pushed aside and having to show this 30-year-old mortgage or whatever it was. Wasn't there any kind of support from other people in the country or anything like that?
I was doing research on this parts. I found a book in U.S. Library of Congress that says in 1958 there was a protest. In mid 1970s because they changed the Citizenship Act in 1977. So there was Bhutan State Congress from Nepalese side or Lhotshampa side to protest against that act or law. And as I recall, as I read that story, that book, it says more than there was a protest, mass demonstration, and about 15 people were killed by the British government, and that was silenced. They did satyagraha, which means peaceful non-violence movement at that time, and they were silenced, killing about 15 people.
But notice the similarities in nowadays situation. You know, now we have this extreme nationalism,
Right.
is my way or the highway.
Mhm.
We, you know, if we do not open our eyes and put our batteries on, you know, this is where we can be headed as a country. You know, I was just listening, you know, they're revoking citizenship of people. They want to forbid the kids of undocumented immigrants that are born here. They want to strip them away of their citizenship. We're deporting people that have been here for 30 years, and we're denying them the right to live in this country. We, you know, just open your eyes and notice the similarities. And I do not want to get political because it has nothing to do with a specific party, but it has a lot to do with our common practices.
We are all
Everything.
refugees. Some of us got here earlier than others.
That's right, and this that I can hear the legal way when the ancestors of many of you came through Ellis Island, all they had to do was show up. That's it, and they were open and welcome. And I was just freaking out a little bit because Umaji, the Bosnian woman, she is severely depressed and she disappeared from the map. And I could see some of the signs already, and that is the result of the lack of openness and the lack of welcoming on the part of the receiving community. For a while, they were the king and the queen of refugees in Laconia. Those two were all over the place, and they would be outspoken, but that speaks volumes of the need to fit in, of the need to be part of the community, to be embraced as a human being, to be recognized for all our humanity, because we have so much more in common that makes us different. And unfortunately, we have been conditioned to focus on whatever makes us different, rather than embracing everything that we have in common, because all of this is just a carcass. Other than that, all the labels are just labels, but we are really one.
I think the saddest thing I heard was her final comment,
Yes.
that she would
Always
always
be
be
a
a
refugee.
refugee. I wondered
right.
how you feel at this point.
But you
Are
heard me say I will never be American enough. You know? And like I tell my own father-in-law, I've done more for this country than your 3 generations of people here. So what gives you the right? Just because I was born in another country? I chose, and he did too. We chose to become Americans. We chose this country. We did not just happen to be born here as an act of serendipity. You know, and we work hard and we pay tons of money to attorneys, and we had to navigate impossible systems that are stacked against us to become citizens of this nation, because we wanted to do it. That should be worth something.
I was wondering if you had a chance to sit down with our congressional delegation and how receptive they are and how much they're able to help you, and what we can do to help on that front to persuade Congress to establish relations with Bhutan.
I think that's a good approach. So far, I have sat down with Senator Shaheen's office, in the person with Senator Shaheen. I never had a chance to sit with Maggie Hassan, Senator Hassan. One important thing that happened that Senator Shaheen has sent a letter to the Prime Minister of Bhutan asking for family reunification. This is very important, family reunification. There are families separated since 1990. I can give my own example. My mother is in Vermont. Her sisters are there back in Bhutan. She's now citizen. My mother's citizen. She cannot go back to Bhutan and meet her family. There are examples that father died in Bhutan and sons are here. They could not attend their last rituals. These are the current happening events. So, and Prime Minister Bhutan responded her letter saying that it is erroneous to call Bhutanese American because they are not from Bhutan. They are destitute people from India and Nepal. Went to refugee camp because of free medical assistance and free food. And in that last paragraph, Prime Minister noted my name, saying that Suraj Burathoki, this is his statement, I can show you his letter. Suraj Burathoki, claiming to be a human rights activist living in Manchester, New Hampshire, him and his family were found illegal immigrants or non-Bhutanese by the 1990s census. That was his quote. I kept that letter.
I'm so sorry.
And I forwarded that letter to the State Department. That there is a Bhutan desk and India desk that oversee human rights and democracy issues in Bhutan. And I went to DC. I sat down with them and share everything. And U.S. knows this thing, but couldn't do anything. Given that Bhutan is a very small country, there is no oil, no big population, no any business that U.S. could.
No money.
And we're just little, over 100,000 population being refugee. There are millions of refugees from one country living in some parts of the world. And there's no gain or nothing like that for U.S. government. And so at this time, there are 12,000 Buddhist refugees in refugee camp in Nepal. They do not want to come here. They want to go back to Bhutan and die. And United States and UNHCR or UN body, they're trying to assimilate them in Nepal instead of fulfilling their hope, their dream to go back to Bhutan.
They don't want to come here because of the current situation, or that's regardless of the point?
Regardless of that point, because there are old people who want to go back to the country because they have their land, they have their own house, and when they come here, they know the situation. Like they have to pay rent, they could not be everything. You know that, right? Everything they have to do by themselves, and they could not because of their age. So they want to go back because they had everything there. But they could not do that, and their voice is not strong enough that they could bring Bhutan to accept them. And US is not doing, and other countries are not doing because there are so small population. So from our end, who are now myself, who are US citizen, what we're trying to do is at least establish diplomatic relations with Bhutan and open for family reunification, where any Bhutanese American who are citizen could go back to Bhutan, meet their family, see their house if it still exists there, and come back here. That's what we are looking for and advocating for. I think I spoke too long. Yeah.
Building on the information in the film, what can you tell us about the typical employment experience of the refugees that are being resettled in this area? What job are they able to get after 6 months and not speaking English?
Yesterday I was meeting with an Iraqi engineer. He was a high-tech engineer. He fixed turbines, airplane turbines, and all kinds of things that I do not even know what. Here he has been driving a bus. A bus for the International Institute. They can clean toilets, they can work at Crushed Mountain, regardless of. This guy has his qualifications fully validated here. He says, I have applied, they not even allow me to work as a technician wiring stupid houses that I could. He went back to college to get a technician, so he would get a stupid piece of paper. He said, even with a stupid piece of paper as a technician, even though I know more than my teacher, I'm not even allowed to change a socket.
Is there any large employer that is, provides
Service,
that non-
service oriented, period,
Service.
you know, and we have a very elegant way of discriminating people
With name.
with, that's right, you know, in the name of equality, but you know, you're not overqualified. And so this guy said, and he was crying, by the way, sitting in a coffee shop with me, being interviewed by the Business Review magazine, and he refused to give his name because his son, who's graduated from here, just like that Iraqi kid here, said, Dad, shut up, please. He said, I have applied over 40 jobs, applications within the past few months. I have not gotten one single answer. And like him, there's many more.
I think the name is the first impression.
Oh yeah, the kid's name is Mohammed too. He said, oh, with my name Mohammed, they don't even give me the chance.
Why
to...
don't people change their name?
But why? Why would you? If I ask you to call yourself Pepita, because I mean, realistically, you know, that's your identity.
Yes,
Why should
but
you
if I
change?
knew that it was gonna make a big difference.
I would do that myself because I'm pragmatic and I learned to navigate the system and use whatever means necessary to advance the cause, you know? Like I use my American husband when I cannot get anything done over the phone, please you call. But you know, and I can call myself Eva Turgeon, and Eva Turgeon sounds so much better than Eva Castillo, you know, even though it's the same person, and you see the difference in treatment because Eva Turgeon has a different connotation. They think I'm white, so oh my God, you know, you're European or you're from somebody, and they treat me better. If on the phone I cannot get anything done because I sound like a Latino, so I get all the door. No, it is what it is. You know, that's a matter of life.
Why can't we get like a middleman or an advocate, you know, to you know, take these sort of blind resumes to an employer and say, here are these qualified people, and to try to build a relationship that way?
We have tried, and the only thing that we get is service-oriented things. We have tried every single thing that we can, and they do not offer opportunities for people to have professional jobs. And that is the sad part. And we have people that are super qualified with all kinds of degrees, and we're wasting when we have an aging population and we have a younger person that is that could contribute to our workforce. The sad reality is that these people are not given a chance.
Yes, so we have to change that.
Yeah, and you know what? We have to do. But we need people like you to open the door for us, because I can beat myself against the wall 10 times and nothing is going to happen. It takes you 2 minutes to open the door, to make a phone call.
Right.
It takes me 3 years to build a relationship.
Just a little thing about stereotyping. Now, my grandson, brown hair, brown eyes, olive complexion, he looks like my husband's side of the family, French Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife happens to be from, her father literally ran for his life from Guatemala, mother's from Nicaragua, but he's pure Caucasian, but he works for Cox Communications in Washington, D.C., which is a TV company, and they go around to people's houses and, you know, repairs and whatever. So a couple of weeks ago, he goes to repair this woman's house, and he goes to the woman comes to the door, and she looks at him, and she picks up the phone and says, "You sent me a dirty Mexican."
That's right.
And
that is the reality that we are living right now.
But it was really, we laughed about it, you know, because, but yeah, it thinks because.
I cry every single day. I cry when I hear this, because it's getting worse and worse and worse. I thought I had thick skin, but you have no idea how many times I've been sent home, how many insults. I have been called all kinds of names for speaking Spanish with my husband when I'm not even minding who's around. I mean, and it's getting worse, and it's going to continue getting worse unless we have the members of the receiving community, you, our allies, speak up and stand up for people.
Well, his wife is in banking. Both of his
It
in-laws
doesn't
they're
matter,
highly
you're
desirable
colored,
immigrants.
you're colored, period, you're an immigrant, and that is the danger of having a homogeneous thing that is my way or the highway, or the melting pot that nobody's anything because it's my way and you melt into my thing. You know, I go in the Rich Girard show every single Monday morning at 6:30. People tell me I'm out of my head to do that. For 2.5 years I've been going to that to talk about immigration with him. And he gets all upset because, you people.
You go on whose show?
Rich Girard, who's an ultra-conservative radio host, in a Christian thing, you know, but Christian, they choose what their Christian principles apply to. And,
Brave of you.
well, you know, somebody's gotta do it. Some days I just sit in my car, and when I hear him, just on my way there, I had to sit and put myself in the zone and say, oh, please, come with me so I don't kill this man or I don't fly an F-bomb right here on the radio. You know, it gives really, but somebody's gotta do it.
So after for 2 years you've been doing this?
Yeah,
And
2.5 years.
do you feel you have made a little?
Maybe with him, no. But you'll be surprised how many people listen to him. And I must have the most annoying voice ever because every time I'm on the supermarket, people hear my voice and say, oh, you're the one that goes on the radio. Good for you. Keep giving it to him. Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. You know?
So as successful as you two are, you still don't feel.
No, and we will never be.
That's why I fear every day. That's why I don't like my children to be in that same circumstances. That's why I kept my children's name as American name. My daughter, she's Brianna, and my son, he's Bastian.
See, I did the exact opposite. I refused to wear my husband's name, and I'm like a tea until I told my husband, you know what? I can have many husbands. I only have one father. I'm not giving up his name for him. You know? So, but it is, and as he was talking about family reunification, if Mr. Trump gets his way, we have an immigration system based on family reunification. So you are a citizen or a legal permanent resident, you have the right to bring your family. These people are talking about undoing that completely, stopping that, and they're trying to do a merit system. We already checked ourselves. You would not qualify. I would not qualify. Nobody could. You have to be basically white and English speaking and have a high
Nobel Peace Prize winner. Peace Prize
no,
winner.
Nobel Peace Prize. That's right. Nobel Peace Prize. I'll give you the stuff. It's so
Master's
ridiculous.
degree.
So nobody's gonna be able to qualify to immigrate here. So family reunification, sayonara, and it's gonna cut. They severely cut the visas for refugees to 50,000 a year. Right now it's 80,000, which is the lowest in the whole world. He's talking about further stripping that to 50,000 a year.
So that act is called RISE Act.
RISE
it's in the Congress.
Yeah, RISE.
Yeah, RISE Act.
Yeah.
So I don't think it will pass, but anyway, it's there.
But you know, just the fact that he's got plenty of supporters, you know. I don't think it will pass. We never thought he was gonna be president.
Right.
So
I have an answer to the process and rig, you know
you
that.
want to go back to your country and do this work?
No.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to go back to Bhutan.
Temporarily. For your
Say-
masters.
Yeah.
For your masters.
To do
Oh,
research.
no,
Yeah.
for research, I'll be going to Nepal, not Bhutan.
Oh, okay.
I thought to go to Bhutan to do research on this issue, but I wasn't given visa. But I didn't apply, but I had past experience. Two of my friends who are Bhutanese American, they applied. One of my friends got visa to go to Bhutan, but a week prior to his visit, it was cancelled. Because they have the record that whoever left Bhutan in 1990, they were not allowed to
No
go
coming
back.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess my question was gonna be, would you be safe?
No, I would not be
I
safe.
didn't think so.
Because you know the letter, right?
Yeah.
Suraj Brathuki, all those things.
Yeah.
That's why I thought you had said you were going
Dirty
back.
human rights activists.
Yes, please.
I've noticed in the news that a lot of refugees and immigrants are going to Canada.
Yeah.
And even if they're here legally, they're going to Canada. I'm just wondering how you guys feel about that.
I feel sad.
sad.
Yeah, because I love this country. I grew up looking forward. I always knew I was gonna end up moving here. My father worked for the oil companies, and he still, in us, his family, love for this country and for Americans. It was always so fun of Americans, and so I grew up looking forward to moving here and making a life for myself. But racism and xenophobia and nationalism have really, and before it's always been there, because it's always been there, but it was a nice and elegant, and people felt the need to keep it inside. But now it's like draining the swamp onto the streets. So the sewage is just running rampant on the streets, and it's cool, and everybody's proud to express their racist views. And so it's pretty sad, but I'm not gonna leave. And nobody's going, and I cry a lot, and I feel bad, and I see so many injustices that is not funny, but I still have faith. We have, we have such a beautiful constitution. We have so many rights. You have the right to march, and people, we're not going to kill you now. We don't know that, but I still have faith, but we have to reclaim that. I don't know at what point we miss the bus, and we just allow, I don't know, our values to be run over.
I have an answer to a lot of these issues, and that is to deport Trump.
Yeah, but it's not only him. He was elected by a bunch of people that agree with him. It's not one person is not enough.
Yeah, but he's
So
making matters worse.
Oh, I agree, but I don't want to make it about him, because it's not about him. It's about a society, how it has declined, and how we have not been able to come together as a nation and upholding our values high, when we are seen around the world as the beacon of civil human rights and the beacon of opportunity and the beacon of, a source of pride. Now we're the laughing stock of the whole world.
Have you ever lived in the South?
I
20 years, the government's 20 years I lived in Alabama.
I go to Alabama to all the marches there. And
yeah, during that whole mess, and it's a whole different mindset.
yeah.
But
here we have the same thing. Different color, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
They have it inside. And I go to some churches and I hear people that, and then the stuff that comes out of their mouth. But that's because we refuse to talk to one another.
My son, I have one son that's lived in Austria for the past 20 years. He would never give up his U.S. citizenship. So we're in a Bierstube one day, and a couple of guys come in, that soccer guys that had just got off a soccer game, and they're rowdy, which is soccer fan rowdy is redundant.
Yeah.
And one of them had just come back from the States, and he says, "There's 3 things about America. They're all fat, they love their guns, and everybody wants to go there."
Mm-hmm. And we say Americans have liberty in a statue.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of us want to know what we could do as an individual, and I think opening up conversations and getting to know people is like huge. So I very much would want to do that, but I sometimes feel like I don't know how to begin. For example, if I said, would you come to my house so that, I could have people in my neighborhood meet you? I don't know if that's offensive, because it's kind of like, well, why do you want to meet me? Well, because you're not white American. You know what I mean? I don't know how to do it tactfully and not making the person be sort of, I don't know.
Like a token?
Yeah, like on the show.
I don't think anybody would be offended by having somebody treat you as a neighbor. As a neighbor, and also I think, it would not be a bad idea to organize an active bystander course here, so people can learn how to intervene safely when you hear somebody bullying or mocking or making racist comments like I hear all the time in the lines at the supermarkets or in whatever. Oh, here we are, look at what they're shopping in there. There are ways of doing stuff that doesn't put you in danger, but you just interrupt that. And we need to start, speaking up for other people. And there are ways to do it that are safe instead of just keeping quiet. With GSOP, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that with GSOP.
Carol,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about what's going on with ICE in Manchester?
Oh my God.
To let people know that if they're interested, they might.
We have the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They have been ordered to escalate their deportation efforts all over the nation. And right now, they have been picking people left and right. We have a big Indonesian community in the seacoast that have been here for over 20 years. They are Christians that came here fleeing religious persecution. And some of them missed the deadline to apply. You have a window of a year to apply for asylum. Some of them missed the window and some of them were denied. So they have been going from appeal to appeal to appeal to appeal. Now they have exhausted every legal resource. So we have like about 70 families that are subject to deportation. Last Tuesday, they have been having to show in the offices of ICE in Manchester periodically, every 2 months, every 3 months, whatever. So now for the last 3 months, we have had a presence there, faith presence there, just in solidarity with them and with the other people that are in deportation procedures that were not a priority because they're not criminals under the Obama administration, but now everybody is gay. So these people, last week, we were there from 8 in the morning. There were maybe 100 people in line outside in the building. And you should see the terror in those families. Some of them were crying because they don't know if 30 of those people were told to come back next month with their tickets in their hand. So these are people that have been here for 20 years. There's plenty tickets to go home.
So how are they being, how are they being,
It's totally random. Everything they do is random.
so you're
they
living here for 20 years, you have your home.
Sayonara, I don't care, you have job, your kids were born here, don't my problem.
So how are they getting, I don't know if they found out, how are they getting?
They get found out, a lot of them got found out because they were in the system applying for asylum. So they already know that. The regular undocumented people that just cross the border or overstay their visa, they're usually found out courtesy of the state troopers. They'll stop anything brown under and I have talked to troopers many times. I'm a police commissioner in Manchester, so I have good relationship with the cops. And anything brown that is in the highway, they stop and they check. Do you have papers? Let me see. If you don't have papers, they pull you over and they make you sit and wait for ICE for 2-3 hours until they come, and then they book them. So we have a jail right now in Stratford County full of undocumented that were there because of the profiling of the state troopers. So these people some of them have been in the system for a while. Some of them are locked up, and there's not much resource to see people living there crying. There was a family that went there for the father, and the whole family was there. They kept the father detained right there and there in front of the kids and everything. They arrested him, and you come inside the office, and so the kids like crying, please let me say bye to my dad. You just get out of here. So it's really hard, but that's not new. That has been happening. I've been doing this job in Manchester for 30 years, and we have been deporting people. Now it's become, like I call, the flavor of the day. Now people are more aware of it. But if I can tell you stories of how many people that I care for, including, I have an adopted Mexican son, his 4 older brothers were deported. My best friend was deported. So, it's been, but right now it's really rampant. There's no protection.
How do you stay in, how do you stay here for 20 years waiting for asylum?
The systems are totally, like I said, stacked against you. This immigration is the only system where assume that you're guilty, that you're lying to them, and you have to prove that you're being truthful.
So you do it every year, is that it? You go in every year? I guess I
Or
don't understand the process.
They apply, you apply, and then they study a lot, and they say, oh no, you're denied, so you have the right to appeal. So, you know, it goes, the courts, they are overworked. So it takes 5 years to bring your case up, and they deny it again, so you file another, you know, so it just, the court systems are totally backlogged.
So it could take 20 years before
It has taken 20 years for them, and now they're being deported left and right. So if anybody wants to be witness to the disgraceful immigration system that we have, just give me your name, and September 11, in fact, I have it right here, no, not 11. I have the date, and I'll let you know, and I'll put you in the mailing list.
Isn't it the first Tuesday?
It's the first Tuesday, but this time they jumped. When the Indonesians, instead of coming only the first Tuesday, they have like 5 or 6 scattered dates in September because they are annoyed that we're down there watching them.
Well, I am again traumatized with this story. I went back to Bhutan in 1990. To answer your question, in Nepal, in South Asian country, U.S. They have so much respect to U.S. They always want to come here. They even sell their house, sell their land to get to U.S. And it is sad. I did not expect that there would be someday there will be American refugees or people would
run
leave,
away.
from America. That was out of my mind. I didn't think like that. When I hear all this story, I'm like, I don't know. I'm here with hope that I would be doing something for myself, my community, and to US. And I feel like I'm immersed in a big problem, in a big issue where I can't see any way out. Does it make sense?
The only way out is to fight your way out. That's the only way. We need to keep fighting.
What did you hear about America as you were growing up?
Well, I did not hear anything about America when I was in Bhutan. I was just 9 years old, used to go to school. We had our own house. I didn't even hear of a rent. No mortgage. We had our own 2-story house by ourselves. We had our 20 acres of land. We have our orange orchards and everything we grew ourselves. Paddy field, everything. We only used to buy kerosene oil from India. Rest, we grew ourselves. Everything self-sufficient. When I went to refugee camp in Nepal, then I started hearing about rent when I went out of refugee camp for my education. And in the orientation, before I come here, I was told all fake news. Fake news. America, you go there, you'll have all hi-fi life, you'll have house, you'll have everything. I was not given even one fact in that orientation. I was like, okay, come, go there, get my education, start working, build my life, house, everything. When I landed here, it was like totally different. And because of this, we will be again traumatized. But I was told that USA means you start again.
That's right.
I was told that. And when I came here, my education wasn't valid. I was doing masters in one of the universities from Nepal. I was like bachelor here. And I went back to bachelor's degree again in SNHU. And I was teaching. Nothing worked here. Go back to again. Even that certificate wasn't valid. I had to recertify again. Transfer my all credentials. And so when you do all these things, you start from zero and your life would again extend to new exploration. So
if you could do it all over again, would you have come here?
Oh yeah, I found my passion here. I'm a total rebel. I thought I was going to outgrow it, but I didn't. And you know what I did? The first thing I became a U.S. citizen, you know what I did? I went to D.C. to do civil disobedience. So I just sat in the middle, 110 women, interfaith. We just sat in the middle of the road, held hands, and prayed, and we were arrested, every single one of us, and I loved it.
What can we do to make those qualifications? Like, why, is there any work being done to say if you have a degree from, you know?
There's some work done in the New American Institute and the Welcoming America, but it takes forever to get anything done. Changing systems is the hardest thing ever. You know, and sometimes I have a friend who has a PhD from Harvard in education. He moved to Manchester. He's Puerto Rican, so he's a U.S. citizen by birth. He moved to Manchester. At that time, the only PhD in a whole district in Manchester was the superintendent. He spent over a year trying to get a job. They would not even hire him as a substitute teacher. Finally, he said, I'm fed up with New Hampshire. You keep it. I'm moving to Boston. Within 3 weeks, he was superintendent of a school district. I have an African friend that was an engineer and that forever, cleaned the whole people's houses, do this, do that. He moved to Maryland. In a couple of months, he found himself a professional job. A lot of people are not given the chance. I have another friend that's a Pakistani. He had sent 20 resumes to 20 different companies, one under his name, Ali Faraz, and the other under John Smith or whatever. And guess who got called?
John Smith.
You know, it is what it is. We cannot keep pretending. If people are not given the chance, we cannot excel. That's why, you know, integration is a two-way street. Yes, we do have to adapt to a new culture. We have to adapt to your language. And I am a total proponent of that. I don't believe in this thing that you live here for 20 years and you cannot speak English. Even if it's bad English, I don't care, but it is our job to learn your language and learn your culture. And if you tell me 6 o'clock, I do it. If with the Latinos, I show up at 9, that's my problem. But if I'm working in this system, I have to learn how to work in this system. But integration is a two-way street. It's not only us trying to fit in. You have to be open to accept us. If we are not accepted, we are not given the chance, then we cannot thrive. We cannot fully integrate ever.
We expect everybody to come to us. How many of us are fluent in a second language? I mean, I can smatter a little bit in Spanish, but that's it.
But we have Spanish teachers in Manchester where we have native Spanish speakers that are fully credentialed and they're not given the chance, and then we have Americans that can hardly speak the language or like having me teaching English. I speak English, but I'm not teaching material.
I joke that I am probably too liberal for New Hampshire. I'm going to be forced to move to Vermont.
No, we need people here.
I was just talking to somebody the other day, and her employer was sent here from Japan. He works, he was president of a Japanese company. When he retired, did not want to go back to Japan. He wanted to stay here. So, money and an attorney in Boston got him a green card.
Yeah, but we know.
So, do you find that a lot, that if you have enough money, you can make things work for you?
Justice is for the poor, and those are the ones that pay the consequences. But you know, we also have this scheme where we have, even with the refugees, I see it with the Americans, you know, they are the preferred group, the Bhutanese. They're so soft-spoken, they're so good. The Africa, oh my God, those people are a bunch of savages. And I heard it, you know, so they have echelons of what refugee or what immigrant is worse here than not. Latinos are a bunch of drug dealers and we're lazy. And we live off welfare and we have 20 kids. You know, so we have stereotypes, so it's easier, you know, what is the stereotype of the Asians? They're so smart, they're so, you know, and people treat us according to the stereotypes out. And I hear it all the time. I hear it. This is the only job I've ever done in my life is work with immigration, period. That's all I do, totally monothematic.
But does money play a role?
Of course, money plays a role up to a certain point. Because I had the money. When I married my husband, they said, oh, this woman, my husband is 8 years younger than me. I've been married to him for 32 years. When we went to immigration, they said, No, sorry, Charlie. You go home. And they made me go home for 7 years and wait. So good thing that he was young, and he said, brothers, I'll go to Venezuela, and he moved to Venezuela with me. Yeah. They did not believe that I had married him for real. When you go to the immigration, they ask you, when was the last time you had sex with your husband? What color underwear is she wearing? What side of the bed? I mean, the most disrespectful stuff that you can imagine, they ask you this, just to make you, the process is so degrading. When I went to the medical, you have to go see their doctor. The doctor treated, first of all, he looked like a gargoyle, he was really, gross. Then, they check us for HIV, for TB, they take blood samples, they take all of that. Then the last thing he did was put me in a table, get on the table. He opened my legs like he was checking out a cow. I left that place crying. But I had to keep my mouth shut because I'm in his hands. You are at the mercy of whatever officer your paperwork lands on. So you have to keep your mouth shut. I left there crying. I felt so humiliated, but I was in his hand and I wasn't going to give him the pleasure of denying me. But you have no clue. So when they, why don't they come here legally? Why don't they become citizens? There's no way to do it. And even if you try to do it right, they treat you so badly. That it's really, so 7 years, but thanks to that, my husband learned Spanish. I was able to have my kids because I would have never had children if I had stayed here. I had my maids at home, they took care of my kids. I did not have to choose between working or having my C-section and going to work a week after because there's nobody paying me to go. So my kids were born at home. When I was able to return, we packed our suitcases and we started back from square one. And I would not change it for the world.
You're a strong woman.
Yes, for sure.
Very strong woman.
Any other questions for
Cindy, do you know how many refugees we have here in Goffstown?
I do not. I was trying to.
If I were a refugee, I would go to Goffstown.
Well, just to,
Would not.
yeah, I would like to answer one of your questions before. So you would like to engage with refugees, right? So what you could do is there are many offices where refugees could come together, for their daily services, daily needs. So, for example, we have Bhutanese Community of New Hampshire. We have office in Manchester. You're always welcome there. I'm full-time employee there. From Monday to Friday, I'll be there. So there are Bhutanese coming for service. You could talk to them, and
and build a relationship.
Yeah,
and the Congolese Community Association and the Iraqi Social Services.
Yeah.
The International Institute. That's the agency that brings them.
Yeah.
You wouldn't come to Goffstown because we're too far out in the woods? We're not in the city?
I'm just kidding.
I traveled this main street for 2-3 years to go to Crux Mountain. Yep. Because I used to work there.
Oh,
See?
yes.
Yeah.
But don't they usually settle refugees in cities that have public transportation?
Well, if you can call it public transportation, yeah. So they resettle right now Manchester, mainly Manchester and Concord. They used to resettle in Laconia, where most of this film was shot, but they're not reselling too many. And Nashua, they have an office, but they don't. So it's mainly Manchester and Concord.
How the refugees? We have many of them in Manchester. Do they all How many of them do they actually start working and they are able to be independent?
They have to work. The help that they get from the resettlement agency, and basically they're commodities to the resettlement agency. They don't like me too much, but I speak my mind.
Well,
so they're brought here in 4 months. They're supposed to learn the language, be fully acculturated, start getting a job, and start paying for your ticket because they have to pay for their tickets to come here. So I mean, what human being that try to resettle in Zimbabwe and see how you're gonna?
So I guess I don't understand how it works. I get a lot of them where I work I work in healthcare, So I'm always like curious, like how does this work for them? It seems so difficult.
It is.
Because like you're saying, even those that come here, I'm sure there are lots of them that come here without degrees.
Yeah.
What do they?
Well, right now, Easter Seals, and that's part of, I run a program, an immigrant integration program called Welcoming New Hampshire, part of Welcoming America. Easter Seals had 168 vacancies to fill. So they designed a pilot program and they recruited refugees. They trained them with job-specific English at the same time that they were doing the OJT. And they were paying them. They were paying them $10 an hour while they're being trained. So a few weeks, they trained them, they prepared them, and then they were fully employed at $14 an hour with benefits. And now they're doing the second batch of people. And then Tina Sharby, who's the HR person of the Easter Seals, she is now president of the diversity workforce. So we address them, and we're trying to get them, other companies and other places to do that. They have a need, and you know, if we train them and we give them a chance, these people, you know, a year and a half later, they're still employed.
And how are they received by the people that they're, or whatever, like give it a specific job?
Well,
so you said that they were trained with job-specific English words.
Right.
So, how do the Americans?
Oh, the clients?
Yeah.
Well, the Easter Seal has a very specific population, and there's still some elderly that do not want to be touched by a black person.
Well, that's what I wondered how that went.
You know, but too bad. You know, this is all the hands that you are. You choose to be touched by the black person, or you figure out how to go to the bathroom on your own. Now we'll see what they like.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder, is it like an education for them? Like,
of course, everything works two ways.
Yeah.
But the only way to do it is by communicating. I go to all the police departments and I talk to them, and I have built relationships. Like a few years ago, Hudson, New Hampshire, we used to call the Republic of Hudson, because anything brown they would stop and call ICE, and they were made a big brouhaha because ICE did not show to pick up some people, so they started charging them with trespassing. And we made national news, and Kelly Ayotte was still Attorney General. And finally, they threw it out of court. They said, this has no leg to stand. You know, now, thanks to talking and building relationships, they lower their guard, and they, you know, they learn to see us, and I learned to see them as human beings too, with all their flaws and everything. Because, you know, I had the idea that all cops are RoboCops and they're nasty and they're this, and no, that's not so. But the only way to bring down those barriers is by talking.
Not just in Easter Seal or people with disabilities. It's happening in hospital settings or in any other educated people work. I can give you my own example. In 2009, when I was here first time, I went to hospital and I was in line for one hospital's appointment. And the front desk officer, what do you call it?
The receptionist?
Receptionist called my name, and I went there, and she asked me, "Do you have interpreter?" Because there's the impression that.
And you said, "I'm an interpreter myself."
No, I said, I think I can express myself. I don't need interpreter. And she said, because she has the impression that with Asian face or something colored people, they speak English. They don't speak English. And I said, no, I think I can express myself, and I didn't bring any interpreter for me. And she looked somewhere, and she said, give me a minute, let me call somebody. And she called somebody in the hospital, and later on she admitted me without interpreter. So that is
the perception
about
we're less
refugees,
than.
immigrants, and the face. Yeah. It's not just people with disabilities.
I went to Welcome New Hampshire, Manchester. There was a dinner at the Brookside Church.
Oh yeah.
And I would say that with you asking the question you're asking, you get to sit with these people, you eat with them, you get up, you move, you go to somewhere else, and they tell you, you spend the evening hearing people speak about it. Some who are, some of us talking, and a lot is the refugees speaking, and then at the end you end up sitting like this, talking, having a conversation.
with maybe somebody that doesn't speak the language very much, but you do it. You're face to face.
And we can do that here too if you want. Conversation cafes, we can do here. You know, we can bring a group of people
It's
and
it was
do it here.
a lot of things
Yeah.
became more clear. It was very nice, and it wasn't a highfalutin conversation that we were having, but we did have one, and I ended up with a young man who had just been here a short time, didn't have a job, but it was fulfilling for hopefully.
And she wanted to.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I teach at Manchester Community College, and I've had a class where I had a kid from Bhutan sitting next to a kid from Nepal, sitting next to a kid from West Africa, another kid from Brazil, a student from Canada, and others. I mean, and we all got along, and I just want to validate what you're saying, because I was very much respected by the refugee community, and in fact, probably even more so as a instructor. But, it's just like, we're all the same.
That's right.
Yeah, I started
We're
my
all
college
the same.
from Manchester Community College. I
Oh,
went
yeah?
there first, yeah.
Yeah.
And I took my English 98 because I didn't know about the
I wasn't there
test.
in '98.
I didn't know anything about the test. What do you call it?
True,
The Acoplessa test, something like that. And
Yeah,
I did.
like TOEFL, the English
No, they call
competency?
Acoplessa, something like that. Acoplessa.
Oh, yeah, you took the acting place.
I did,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
was
placement.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was unaware of all those things, and I did pretty bad because I had the degree, of taking English
Right.
in bachelor's and master's and all those
Right.
things. I could write better, right?
I just want to, not to interrupt you, but that is so true, because I've had students that have their degrees in multiple different areas, whether it be they were in banking to engineering to whatever, and, the writing skills are right up there.
And at least we know how to spell.
And what I did
We
was
might have an accent, but
Yeah.
we know how to spell.
But they were changing careers simply because
Yeah.
they couldn't get a job in their own
and
area.
they asked me to take 190 English, and I look at the book. It's just so simple. And I went to the teacher, and I said, "No, I can write better than this." And she asked me to write an essay. I just wrote an essay and give it to her. Nope, you don't have to take this book. you write better than this book. So I didn't take that one. So, yeah.
Question, so I own a landscape company. The regular 22-year-old American white fella,
The one on one.
no.
I know too
No.
much work.
And so if there's ever refugees that you come across that are, it's not a white collar job,
But that's what they're good at. I've had so many people coming, landscapers and people that work in the crops, they have farms, and they say, "Oh, nobody wants to work, the white kids don't wanna do anything, they don't wanna work."
I struggle to fill positions.
And to get that HB, whatever, 2 visas is a total pain in the tutu, and it's impossible to get them anyways.
My best employee's name is Chico.
My landscaping company, I was so mean. The people that were doing the physical work were all Guatemalans and Mexicans, and then the ones that were in the tractors were the American guys, So when they did we had a massive work I was so mean, I said, I'm gonna give it back to them. So I would call them, "Hey, Pedro, come here's water," and I would totally ignore the American, just to give it back to them for a minute, just to be mean for a minute.
Well, everyone, I want to thank you all for coming. I
Thank
think
you.
we should let Ava and Siraj go home. Thank you for sharing your stories, and